Hello boys and girls, I'm so excited you're here with me today, my young scientists. We're doing some exciting stuff again today in Mr. Patrick's laboratory. We're outside in the biggest laboratory that there is, the great outdoors. It's springtime, we're having a great time. I hope you've watched the last couple of videos, you've taught your parents some things, and we're gonna have a great time. I'm out in the sunshine, enjoying it a little bit. Being out in the sun is nice. We get a little vitamin D, makes us feel good to be out in the sunshine. It's springtime, and this is the third and final of our great outdoor segment. Now, remember there's safety when we're gonna do our experiments, and so I've got sunscreen on already. I'm choosing to wear a hat, okay? And I can also wear sunglasses if I want to, but I'm not gonna wear those today because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. Now, quick reminder, in our last video, we did a lot of cool things. We were talking about plants that might be around your house that we eat. And here's just a couple of examples. This is one we talked about last time. This is basil. It's used as a spice in different types of food, okay? This one's rosemary, okay? And it can be used in different kinds of foods. And there's lots of them that I just had in the cabinets, and we use them for spices. We had a great time, okay? Hopefully you taught your parents some things about fruits and things that maybe they didn't even know. But today I'm gonna use these to do something a little bit different. Today I'm gonna teach you how to make 3 things that you can keep at home. We're gonna make a plant terrarium. You're also going to make an ant farm, and we're also gonna make an animal habitat. You can choose 1, 2, or maybe all 3 of them. Parents, most of the things that I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna build with jars, things that you might have at home. And so I'm just picking some of the things that I have here, and I'm gonna show you how to do them. Our first one we're going to do is a plant terrarium, okay? And a plant terrarium is literally something that you can make at home that you can watch it grow. And so I just have a jar. Now you can use lots and lots of kinds of jars, and I have different kinds of jars. You can have different sizes. That's a pickle jar. You can have, moms, maybe you have something like this. This is an old candle. It's about to get old. And when it's done, you can scrape out the wax, and then you can take the lid off, okay? And you can use this as a plant terrarium. There's lots and lots of different things you can use. But I'm just gonna use this bigger jar for this one. And what we're basically gonna do is we're gonna have a plant, and then kids, you're gonna get to use your imagination on how it works. I'm gonna show you. Now, a couple of things for you. You'll notice I'm wearing camo today. A little bit of a hint on some things you're gonna see. See if you can figure out why it comes into play. All right, for this plant terrarium, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some, in this case, just some rock, like river rock, okay? You might have some different types of rock at your house. It doesn't really matter what kind of rock, but you wanna have rock that you're gonna put inside your terrarium, okay? So we wanna have a layer in the bottom that is rocks, because when we go to water these plants, we want there to be some space down in the bottom that they don't just get so soaked that the roots actually go bad, okay? And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some potting soil after that, and this is just regular potting soil. Okay, I'm gonna put on top of that, okay, as I go along. And so I'm gonna just push that off in there, even it out. Now you'll notice on the side, the rocks are down in the bottom, okay? And so as you see those rocks down in the bottom, what's gonna happen is when I water this is gonna represent what happens on Earth. When I water it and it waters the plant, the water goes through the soil and it can collect at the bottom, and the roots need that extra water. They can reach down in there and they can grab that. So you may even want a little bit more rocks than I put in there, but we're gonna have our soil, and then you're gonna end up picking a plant. Now there's lots of different kinds of plants that you can use. Now, what you could do is you could take something like a basil if you wanted to grow this. Now here's what's really, really important. Every time you buy a little plant like this or you find one like this, it's gonna have a little stake in it. And on the back of it, it tells you how it grows. Meaning, does it need to be in the sun all the time? Does it need to be in the shade all the time? Does it need to have partial sun, full sun, whatever? Make sure you read the instructions. It doesn't matter what kind of plant, you get to choose, okay? But make sure you read the instructions. It may be a really small one. That was a really small one. It may be something bigger like that, or it may end up being something like these, okay? So I'm gonna show you what it already turns out to be, okay? You can have a terrarium, a plant terrarium that looks like this, or maybe like this. Now you can see, look how cool that is with the rocks in the bottom. You can see those rocks in the bottom, and so when we go to water this and it goes through there, again, we collect water at the bottom. It's like groundwater. Our land has different layers, and there's layers of rock, and there's underground water. Plants can get those things as springs come up. Maybe in your area there's springs that come up out of the ground, but we want to make sure they have water. Now on the top of this one, there's actually rocks on top. You can choose what you want to do, but you'll see there's soil in the middle, just like we did in ours, okay? But there's soil in the middle, and then I chose a plant. And Miss Christie is actually much better at this than me. She's let me show off what she did. Or you can have a plant like this. Now parents, succulents are very, very, very popular today. okay? They're pretty hardy, but you gotta be careful with them, okay? The leaves will break off very easily, but it's great for your kids to learn how to plant it, pull the soil back, put it in there, and then you might even throw some rocks on there to protect the rocks, okay? Protect the roots themselves. Now, kids, here's where you get to have a lot of fun, all right? At this point, it's gonna be maybe in the window of your house. Maybe it's gonna be in the window of the kitchen. Maybe you have it on the porch. But I want you to make it yours, and here's what I mean. My friends who live next door have a little bit more toys than I do, so my friend Lincoln and Stella let me borrow a few things. Let me show you what I mean. You can make your own imaginary world, and here's what I mean. Let's say I want to take and I want to make an imaginary world that looks like this. Oh, you see that tree? Okay, and some of my friends, you guys are really good with things like dinosaurs. Look how tall that dinosaur is. And you can really work on your perspective. You can have things like that. You can have a dinosaur that gets down in there like that, okay? And you can have, for those, my friends that can write, maybe you can make your own picture and then you can draw it and then you can write the story of what's going on with the dinosaurs and what they're doing and the trees they live around. There's all kinds of things. My friends gave me all different kinds of things. Maybe I'm gonna have something like that that hangs on the side, okay? I can do all kinds of things. They had all kinds of dinosaurs that I could borrow, more than I could even put in this terrarium, okay? Whoop, that guy fell off. That's okay. Maybe I wanna do something like this. Maybe I want to put this guy up in here like this and he's eating on the plants. Can you see him in there, Miss Christie?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then maybe you can do all kinds of things and you can build things around it. This is a great time to use your imagination. But you make it what you want, kids. For some of you, you're very good artists. And so I've seen some of my friends, they take bigger rocks and they like to paint them and they like to write on them. How cool would it be when you built your terrarium, your plant terrarium, if you put those rocks down the side and you could actually read what the rock said? And then you put the small rocks in the inside, so you line the outside. There's all kinds of cool things that you can do. Now, you may think, well, that's all boy stuff. Well, it doesn't have to be. My friend Stella, she also let me borrow some stuff like this. Maybe I'm gonna make a little kingdom, okay? There's the king. There's the queen. Oh, stay standing for me. And maybe a unicorn. Oh, don't fall. Get in there. Okay, and then I have my own kingdom. And maybe they live under a tree. Or maybe I don't want something that small. Maybe I have other things. Okay, maybe I can do things like this. Bam, 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 bam. That's for mom and dad. Ha. Bet you know that one. Okay, and you can put them in here and you can build things, or you can build things around them. Some of you are really good with Legos and you can build things around it so you can make your own kingdom and you can have your own story. And maybe at night, instead of your parents telling you a story, you can tell them a story about what you made and use your imagination on what's going on. This is a great way for my older kids to do things where your teachers want you to do something in a project and they want you to use certain words of vocabulary and you got to work on certain things. This is a great way to do things. There's all kinds of things that you can do. It's a plant terrarium. So again, quick reminder, all I do is I put rocks in the bottom, probably a little bit more rocks than I put some soil in there up to the top, pick the plant I want on the top, and then you can do whatever it is you want to do. Okay? Make sure you put it in the right place. Does it need sun? How much water does it need? Check that out as you go along. Really, really cool. Why? Because you made it. That's how awesome it is. You made it. And then watch your plants grow. Might even be really cool to do something like this. When you put your dinosaur in there, let's say with this guy, and let's see how tall it is, and over time, watch the plant get bigger than your dinosaur. You can actually watch it grow. How cool is that? It's a plant terrarium. You get to do what you want. Now that's the first thing that we did today, okay? So I can use different kinds of plants. I can use different kinds of soil. It's really pretty cool. I can do whatever I would like to with it. Now, the second thing that we're gonna build is called an ant farm. Now, your mom and dad might be interested in getting you an ant farm. You can get one online and they'll send it to your house and it's already built for you. But I'm gonna tell you how to build one of your own, how to make your own ant farm. Now, where I live right now, the ants aren't up out of the ground. They haven't come out of wintertime, okay? But we can prep this and get it ready to have our own ant farm. Now, you may think, why would I want an ant farm? Well, ants have very intricate paths that they go underground. They take food underground. They have, oh, it's really cool, all the different things that they do. And so you get to make one and you can see what's happening. You can watch what's happening. Now, this is one, kids, that when you make this one, you probably don't want to leave it inside, okay? Unless it's really sealed. Let me show you what I mean. you're gonna wanna have something like this. Now, this happens to be something that Miss Christie had, and there's 2 or 3 versions that I'm gonna show you here in a minute. This was a candle, okay? This was a glass candle, and this was another glass candle. What I really want is something that sets inside of something else. Now, this is really important to understand. When I make this ant farm, I want to have this thing inside to take up space. Let me show you. I'm gonna show you another example. I'm gonna take one like this. This one's a pickle jar. And let's say you don't have a jar like this. You don't have 2 jars like this, but maybe you have a soda can. And here's what I did. I took this soda can and I went and found some sand. Or you could put rocks in it, but I put sand in it. Maybe there's a sand volleyball court or playground near you. When you go out for a walk, you can get some sand, fill it up, okay? And so here's what I want to happen. I just want it to take up space. So I'm gonna set it in the inside just like that. I want it in the middle. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up putting dirt in here, and dirt's going to go around all the sides. I don't want the ants to be able to go in here, just like I don't want ants to go in here. I want them to be able to go around the outside, so there's only a couple of inches so they can build their ant farm around the perimeter. That's a cool word. Around the perimeter of this jar, and I can see what they're doing when I look in from the outside. So I'll be able to see because this is a clear jar. Now, parents, just a reminder, if you had a jar that's like this, it's gonna be really hard to see what's going on. This is a great one for the inside because we don't wanna see the inside jar. We wanna see what's happening through the outside jar. And so I'm gonna show you what happens here. And I'm going to take that same, I'm gonna take some dirt, and I'm just gonna make it with this smaller one this time. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this dirt, I'm gonna put this dirt in here, okay? And I'm hurrying, so it's not gonna be as clean as I want it to be, but I'm gonna take my time as best as I can. There we go. I want that dirt to go to the bottom, okay? So this is just a scoop of soil that I got that tried to have just mostly dirt. It's gonna have a little other things in it along the way, but you can see what's happening, okay? So again, this one in the middle right here, it's just to take up space, okay? It's really not the ant farm that I need. Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. I'm going to take, and I want the soil to be about right there. Now I want you to look from the side real close, Miss Christie. Now you can see it just looks like it's a jar full of dirt. Now we know that it's more than that, but what's gonna end up happening is I can go in and I can put my ants in there, and then they can start making their own colony. Now what's gonna happen is this. Now I need to explain this part to you very carefully. Now I read online and I made sure that I got this. I'm like, how do you get the ants that you want? Here's what you need to do. You're gonna end up taking a shovel, okay? Find an ant pile, and you're gonna take a shovel, and you're gonna dig down into that shovel, and you're gonna get a big shovel full. Now that's really not the dirt that you want in here. That's to get your ants. So when you go over to that ant pile, you need to have a bucket or a container, and you're gonna scoop down in there and dump those ants in that bucket and shake it around. What you wanna look for, there's gonna be ants all over, so you're gonna keep banging it on the ground so that they don't get on you, so all the ants fall to the bottom. You wanna make sure that you find an ant that has wings on it. And one of those is a queen. And that queen runs the colony. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna get that queen, and you're gonna drop her in here, and you're gonna drop some of the other ants. 20, 25, 30 ants, something like that would be great, okay? And then what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna then seal it. Okay, so what's gonna happen is I'm gonna seal this. Now notice it's sealed on the inside. I've got a lid on it, and they're trapped. This becomes their home. Now, animals need to have multiple things. They need to have air and water and food and shelter. Now, if I do this, okay, do I give them air? Well, no, I don't. Okay, so what I wanna do is I wanna be able to have something that would go over it. Now, so let me make sure we understand this. I've got the soil in there ready to go. Are the ants ready? Not in my area yet. Okay, I'm gonna get a scoop, pour it in a bucket, shake them out really good, keep them from getting on me. Mom and Dad, this is great to help the kids with. Find an ant that has wings on it. Put that one in there, and then multiple of the other ants, okay? And those ants will then make their own colony. It becomes their own home, okay? Now, here's another way you can do this that works out really good. This is cheesecloth, okay? Now, you may think it doesn't look like cheese. It's not made of cheese. I don't know why they call it that, but it's cheesecloth. It's actually a long story, but what I wanna do is I wanna cover this. Now, you can do it, this piece is a little big, but that's okay. Here's what I wanna do is I wanna take cheesecloth and a rubber band. Now when I do that, what's going to end up happening is I'm letting in air, but the ants can't get out. So I want that rubber band to be tight. Then I can take a pair of scissors and I can cut it around here so I can see inside. So it's going to look something like that when you look in there. Now it's sealed. Okay, I'm gonna have to put in a little water every once in a while, and I'm gonna have to put in food. When I read online, a couple of things they need a little bit of food, a little bit of like a pinch of sugar or a little bit of honey will keep them interested, okay? The other thing you wanna make sure you do is they're gonna now start reproducing. They're gonna have their own colony, their own home, their own family. And so what you do is, reminder, you're going to get a scoop of ants, knock them down in there. Which one do you wanna find? The one with the wings, and then some other ants. Now the really cool part that works out to make your colony really go is if you have some little larvae. They're the little eggs. They're gonna be little clear, maybe white color, and pick up some of those and drop them in there real easy, okay? And they'll move them where they want to. And what they're gonna do, kids, is they're gonna drill holes down in there and they're gonna build their colony all in this dirt area. And so you can watch and see what they do. Now, I have my colony built. I have my ants in it. How do I protect them? Now, here's what's very interesting. If I have it sitting here like this, do ants live outside in the sun all the time? No. I see the ants when I accidentally hit an ant pile with my lawnmower, or if I step on it and they come up out of the ground. So this has to look like it's in the ground. So here's what's gonna be really important. I'm gonna need a cover of some sort. I want it to look like they're in the dark, and here's a great way to do this. Most of the time, all I have is just a little box. Most of the time, I want them in the dark. And I want them in the dark so that it's like being underground and they start living in their own home. When I want to check them out in a day or two, I can take that box off and I can look at the side and I can see all the things that they're doing and how they're running around, and they have tunnels. It's really cool, they dig tunnels. Then I want to cover it up so they're like back underground again. Now you may think, well, I can have that inside. You need to talk to your mom and dad. If these ants get in your house, you may not want those ants. So make sure it's okay with your mom and dad, but most likely this one's great to be out on your porch, okay? Does it need to be in the sunlight? No, remember, we want it to be in darkness. The other thing that I read that you could do to help yourself is if you had a bigger jar like this one. Where did it go? I dropped it. There it is if I had a big jar like this to make it be dark, you could actually take paper like we did, and you can make a tube that goes over the top of it. Now, all I had was brown paper at home. It'd be a lot better if it was black paper or construction paper, okay? And then I can put the lid on it. Now, this is the one that I had that had the can in it for displacement in the middle, and then I would put dirt in it and fill it up. Now, do I want dirt to go all the way to the lid? No. I probably want it to come all the way up, if I did it like this, most of the way up the can. Probably right in there somewhere. Okay, and then I can see ants run on top of the land, and I can see them run and make tunnels down inside. But again, in the darkness, I can do it one of two ways. I could take and cover it with dark paper, have the lid on it, okay? And that way they're in the darkness. I could close that off. They're in their darkness. When I want to see, all I have to do is lift it up and see what's going on, and then I can put it back on there. That one's an easy way. Or put it on a box or under a box. Now, you may think, okay, do I need to make a big one or a little one? It's your choice. Okay? The other thing I would suggest to you is make sure you read online about ant farms. Read exactly what you can do for food and water for all of them to make sure that they live for a while. Okay? You don't want to overwater, you don't want to underwater, but you can look it up. Here's the cool thing. I'm not telling you everything on purpose so that you look it up and you can see, so you can do your own experiment and see how it works. Okay? So what have we done so far? So we've made a plant terrarium. Okay, where you can grow your own plant and watch it grow, and you get to choose what goes in it. You can use your imagination and you can do all kinds of things around it. Or maybe you're just like, I just want to have a cool plant that I can look at, okay? A cool plant that I can watch grow. You can do that, okay? And there's all kinds. Or you can make your own ant farm and have really cool fun with that. Now remember, but I don't have cheesecloth. What's another good example? How about an old t-shirt? An old t-shirt that's just not gonna be used anymore, and you can cut a square out of the material, put it over it, a rubber band, tighten it down, and you've got air that can go in and out. Just has to have little tiny holes, but you don't want the ants to get out. So they have their own home, they have their own habitat. There's a cool word, their own habitat. Maybe you've heard the word ecosystem before, okay? Where they live and they can reproduce and they can thrive. And so you get to make your own. Now, the last one that I'm going to do is probably coolest for today. what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to have an animal habitat, okay? Now, this one's a little bit different. In one of my other videos, you guys saw that I happen to have an old aquarium. Now, you don't have to do this in an aquarium. I'm just using what I have, okay? Now, you may see my little friend running around in there. This is an anole lizard, okay? And I caught him earlier. Oh yeah, look what color he is. Let me tell you something about my little friend. Miss Christie named him Larry the Lizard. See my friend Larry? Okay, see my friend Larry? What color is he? He's green. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. When I caught him today, he was brown. Brown? Yeah, he was brown. Now he's green. Now, before we started doing this video, Miss Christie and I looked at him again. He was green, and right before we started, he was brown. Now he's turned green again, Miss Christie, before the video got to him. Huh, wonder why he does that. This is a great discussion with your mom and dad. Now, this habitat that I've built, okay, couple of things to make sure you understand. I'm gonna say it again. All animals that live in an ecosystem have to have 4 things to live: air, water, food, and shelter. Now let's think about that real quick. If I'm correct, that's what you and I need. Air, we breathe all the time. Water, something to drink. Food, I need a lot of food. Miss Christie will tell you I need a lot of food. And shelter, a place to live. And so here's what's really important about what I'm doing with this animal habitat. There's gonna be different things that live in your area. It may not be an anole lizard like this. It may not be one of those. Maybe you find a frog. Maybe you find a turtle, okay? When you go out on your walk and spend time with your mom and dad, your family, whatever the case may be, look around for stuff, see what you find. Some of you may take a smaller jar. Maybe you take one of those small jars like one of these and you catch some ladybugs and you watch the ladybugs and what they do. But it's really important that you catch what I'm about to say. I'm not gonna keep him very long. He's really important to the ecosystem around my house. He eats insects. He eats mosquitoes and other bugs that I don't want in my house, but that's what he eats. I like having him around. I just caught him to watch him for a little bit and then I'm gonna let him go, okay? It's really important if you catch something that you watch him for a little bit and then you let him go. Now, do I wanna put a lid on here completely and cut off the air? No, okay? Now you may think, I didn't put a lid on it at all. He's so small and the sides of this aquarium are so tall he can't get out. But if I'm using a jar, okay? If I had him in a jar like this and I put a stick in there, he might be able to jump out and get loose. Again, this is a great one to have outside. This is not one to really have inside. This is great on your porch or your deck, okay? Or somewhere else. But you'll need to have your parents help you. But I just put things in that were around him. So you'll see that I have rocks in there. I have a lid right here that has water in it for him, okay? I need to feed him, so I put some insects in there for him to eat, okay? And then I have green, because look, he's green like the plant that's in there. And then I had a rock. It's a petrified piece of wood is actually what that is. I put a stick. He was laying on this earlier, okay? And then what's really cool is that you need to make sure that you look up the animal that you have and see where he lives. This guy right here, sometimes he likes to be in the sun, but sometimes he needs to be in the shade. I don't want to leave him in the sun all the time. It might get too hot in here and he might die. I don't want him to die. I just want to look at him for a while. He's got really cool eyes and how he moves his eyes around to look, and you can see him breathing. See that? Okay, he's got a really, really, really long tail, okay? And so I can study some things about him and see what he likes to do. And so sometimes when I first caught him, I'd leave him alone for a while and come back and he's laying out on the stick over here. And other times he was laying over here on the leaves. And then when the insects would drop in there, he would watch them and he'd follow them around. So there's all kinds of cool stuff to do, okay? But again, this is very important. I don't want him to die. I'm gonna make sure I watch him for a little bit, and after my video's done, I'm gonna let him go. Okay, I'm gonna put him back where I found him and let him live there, because that's where he lives. Now, this is his ecosystem. Now I wanna give you a couple of words. Okay, we've done some chemistry in Mr. Patrick's laboratory. We've also done some biology with plants. Bio means life. Anything that's living, bio, they study in biology. So if you like going to the zoo, have you ever thought about what's your favorite animal at the zoo? I bet yours is different than mine. We have all kinds of cool animals. They all are living. They all fall under biology. And so I need to make sure that I give him what he needs so that he can live, okay? And maybe I watch him for one day and then I let him go. Here's a cool one for you. If you live in an area where there are frogs, we used to do this with our kids. We had this big bullfrog that lived in our front yard. He would only come out at night because he liked to eat bugs. And we have these things called June bugs around here. They're real big bugs. They fly around and smack into the window or into the garage door. And so what we would do is we would catch those June bugs and we'd throw them right in front of him and watch him, and he would suck them in and he would eat them. One time, he was so fat, he ate like 6 of them. We threw number 7 and he just looked at us like, I'm full. That's all I can eat. And so we would feed him, and then we'd come out different nights. And some nights he was there and other nights he wasn't. So again, the animal, this anole lizard that lives near me, may not live near you. Maybe there's a different kind of lizard. Maybe you catch some worms, okay? Maybe you find different insects, okay? All kinds of cool stuff that you can do, okay? But again, we want to be safe with them. We don't want to hurt them. But this is really cool, and learn some stuff about the things that are in your area. Okay, so there were 3 things that we made today that you can make at home. You can make 1, maybe 2, maybe all 3 of them. A plant terrarium. You can use your imagination and tell stories and have all kinds of cool stuff that you can do with that. After that, we also did ant farms. You may choose to make an ant farm. Probably want to do that one outside, but make sure it's not sealed on top. You got to make sure they have some air. And look up online, what kinds of things do you need to drip in there? Just Google ant farm food, and it'll tell you different things that you can put in there. And then we made an animal habitat. This guy's about to go back into where he lives. I hope you like my friend. As we go to finish today, we're gonna get one more look at him, but we had a great time. Next week, we're going back into Mr. Patrick's laboratory and Miss Christie's kitchen, and we're gonna have a blast together. Thanks for being here today. Here's our last picture of our habitat. Hope you enjoy my friend Larry the Lizard, and we'll see you next time on Mr. Patrick's Laboratory.